Good morning and welcome to the vlog. In about 5 months from today, my wife and I and my family will be boarding an airplane and moving to Guangzhou in South China, and we'll be leaving the US behind. And this morning I just want to talk about what that feels like, waiting and being in this 5-month transition period before we get on the airplane. So what does it feel like knowing that you're going to leave in 5 months, but yet you still got to go through the day-to-day as if nothing has changed? The first thing is that we feel an overwhelming sense of calm. And what I mean by that is, before we made this decision to move to China, it was chaos. We knew about 6-7 months ago that we didn't want to be here. So we really started to kind of make ourselves available on like recruitment agencies and online. And we didn't apply for the position in China. Somebody contacted my wife asking her to interview, and at the time I was like, no way. And but warmed up to it and was looking into the job and into the position, and it looks really good. So she interviewed and applied, and she had to fly to China for a 2-day interview process, and we ended up getting the job. But why that was chaos is you have no idea where your future is going to be. You have no clue that what the future holds, and that's extremely nerve-wracking, and that's exactly where we were for about 2 months. And it was a pretty miserable period of really bad sleep. Your nervous system, your sympathetic nervous system is just in overdrive in the sense that you just can't rest. You wake up during the night and you just don't know. So right now in this 5-month period, we signed our contracts right at the beginning of January, and now we're in this sense of calm. Like, we know what the future holds, we know where we're going, and we have this sense of peace that we didn't have before. And maybe you're in that situation where you're realizing that, where I'm at's not working out. Maybe there's some push factors pushing you to maybe go abroad or go somewhere else, or there's some pull factors where there's better opportunity somewhere else, or both together. I mean, you're in that chaos period. Where am I going? What am I doing? And I will say this, that once you make that decision, and once that decision's final, you will have a sense of peace. And that's how we feel right now. It's just a calmness. We also feel, it's like I live in 2 places at one time. And that's really hard. That's probably the hardest thing I'm going through right now is feeling this sense of on one hand, my head's already in China, and I'm like, you build up this mental image, and you're looking at what you're going to do. I'm Googling like things to do and places to go and things to see. I'm Googling cost of living and all kinds of those elements. So you're in this headspace of this is my future life, but at the same time you're here, or I'm here, and I still have to do the day-to-day. I still have to do the job that I'm contracted to do, and that's really hard. And there's a sense of like I'm constantly battling apathy, and that's a very common thing when you're in this great period of transition. I teach high school students. All my classes are seniors, so if you're not from the US, that's the last level of high school before university. And all of my students are in that same mindset. It's that liminal space. We call it here senioritis, where they're just, they're not here. They're here in body, but not in mind. And since we don't have national exams like the rest of the world, if you want a video about US education, let me know. I'll put it in the comments. I'll let you know. I've got a lot to say on that subject, but that's for another time. But my students are just constantly wanting to go, and I share that with them. This liminal space of just being in 2 places at one time. It's a very common characteristic of this waiting period. My wife and I joke and call it like purgatory of just waiting, and it's really hard. Also, and you may find yourself in this position to where it's really hard to invest in anything. I'm not talking about like finances, I'm talking about like relationships. It's really hard to invest, and that's where I'm slowly detaching from where I live now. And that's, I noticed this with friends, I noticed this with my wife this weekend bought a water purifier for the shower head because we have really hard water here with a lot of minerals in it. And I looked at my wife and said, why you do that? Like, why did you spend $100 for this water purifier? We're leaving in 5 months. She goes, I need it now. And I was like, all right, fine. But that's the mindset, and that's what I mean. You're not thinking presently. You're thinking in the future, therefore you want to detach. And I think finally, in this purgatory transition period, is that the identity's already shifted. You know, I'm already back abroad again. I'm already foreign. And what I mean by that is I'm already thinking about expat communities. I'm already thinking about my life in China. And this kind of ties in everything with like that whole liminal space, is that we're back into that mindset. And that already like fuels this whole living in two places and not wanting to invest in my current job, as well as, you know, a sense of calm. So if you're in that position where you're moving, and it does not have to be you're moving abroad, just moving across country or switching jobs, but you still have like obligations to finish before you take that plunge. This is a very common characteristic, especially of that liminal space, of living between two places, one in body and one in your head. I see this with high school students. We see this with people that are transitioning from one to the other. So if you're living in that transitional period, leave it in the comments. Let me know what's going on. We're not alone in this, and I think this is stuff that doesn't get talked about enough. How we're supposed to feel, and it's okay to be upset. It's okay to feel bored. It's okay to start to detach. It's okay to be living in liminal spaces. These are all normal aspects of our human psychology. Just let me, leave a comment, leave a like, and subscribe. And I hope you guys have a really good Saturday. And we are literally 5 months away before we make a gigantic transition in our lives, and one that we are extremely excited about, that we've thought about. This isn't a quick decision. This wasn't a knee-jerk reaction or a knee-jerk decision. This has been carefully calculated and planned, and we're so looking forward to it. And I hope you guys have a good day.